The final update covers something we often don't talk about in the startup community: the ending we didn't want or the outcome we didn't achieve. This month's founder story is different from the last two. There was an exit, just not the one that he had been building towards. Manuel trained as a physical product designer. He worked on electric bikes, learned the industry from the inside, and eventually started his own electric bike company. The first business model, though, wasn't working. Selling into bike shops wasn't getting him where he needed to go. So in 2018, he changed the business model entirely, moving to a subscription-based service in New York City. And that pivot worked. He found product market fit, he had customers, he had a business model generating real revenue, and a product people in the city were using. And then COVID hit, and demand surged. So he did what any growing company would do. He took out a loan to buy more inventory. And then the inventory got stuck.
Ended up waiting for about 12 months for the inventory that we bought. And that was the time that we were servicing the debt, or that period of time that we didn't have the inventory to actually get the revenue from that. And as a startup, we were not in a cash strong position to actually maintain that debt in that period of time.
12 months. Paying down a debt on a product you couldn't sell because you didn't have it yet. Watching your cash erode while your customers waited. Watching a business that was once working stop working, not because of anything you did wrong, but because of something outside of your control. I felt a smaller version of that at Bunny. We were raising in the fall of 2021, right as VC started pulling back funding. If you'd been a year or two earlier, in the ZERP days, when capital was cheap and investors were moving fast, I think we would have had a real shot at raising enough to pivot and find the right business model. In the end, I don't know if Bunny would have made it, but I think we've had enough run room to figure it out. Instead, the market tightened at exactly the wrong moment. And that's not an excuse, it's just what ended up happening. And there's a particular kind of frustration that comes with watching something fall apart because of timing and macro forces, not because of anything you could have done something about. Manuel knows this feeling better than most founders. And when things got bad enough, he went back to his investors, and they wanted to help.
And everybody wanted to help, but not everybody came in to help. Everybody said, okay, if somebody does, and we do it, and at the end of the day, we couldn't work it out.
This is one of the hardest parts of his story. The support was there in words. Everyone said that they'd move if someone else would move first. But nobody moved for it first, so nobody moved at all. And eventually lenders stepped in, and the company was handed off.
Looking at the business and looking at the business that inherently was healthy, was like, you get the numbers are good,
Yeah.
this could go somewhere. And having to, in a way, give it away, not give it away, but just hand it off to somebody else for this force majeure thing that happened, that it was just, that was very painful.
This is what makes Manuel's story different than most of the founders we talk about here. The product worked, the market was there. It wasn't a failed vision or a bad pivot. It was something out of his control. And the things that would have made it work, coordinated investor support, inventory in hand, and maybe a few more months, just didn't come together. And that is heartbreaking, and you could feel it.
It felt like losing something very intimate.
He's right. And it tracks with every founder we've heard from in this series. The company becomes you. Your identity gets wrapped up in it. So when it doesn't work, even when it's completely out of your control, it still feels personal. Startups get described in terms of outcomes, metrics, and milestones. But for most founders, the company is something more than that. It's an idea you held before anyone else could see it, a vision of the future you were building towards. When it ends, even in the cleanest way, that's what goes with it.
We landed the plane and no big, just scratches and a lot of dents and stuff like that, but it wasn't an explosion crash.
That's how Manuel described it, landing a plane with damage. Everyone walked away intact, carrying a whole bunch of scars. And that image says it all. It's never as good or as bad as you think it will be. We all eventually end up on the ground. And we'll pick up nicks and scratches and some permanent damage from taking flight. But we can't help ourselves, because taking flight is what it's all about. Next week, Chapter 4.2, Checking the Vibe Before the Decision. The internal filter Manuel learned to run before any big decision, not screening the opportunity or the product, but checking in with himself.